So now let's talk about how to go about actually learning and memorizing verses and making them come up for review. So the way we're going to do this is by getting into flashcard mode, clicking anywhere on this section of the verse that we want to learn. And once I click on there, it opens me into flashcard mode. And if I click anywhere on this flashcard, it flips it around to the back side. I click again on it, it flips it around to the front side. And there are some different options here for you. When you're first learning a verse and you're in the new box, you haven't committed to learning it yet, you're just practicing it. It'll show you always the reference. It'll also show you what translation you're using. It'll show you the topic word, and it'll also show you the labels. Also at the top is this thing here for if you need some hints. And then at the bottom here is this microphone, which is more useful when you're actually reviewing in the do box, but it's right there. But the one that I find very helpful in this view is this. It looks like a little graduation cap to remind you of being a scholar and studying. And so what we can do is click on that one, and it puts us into study mode. And there are 4 options for studying. The first one is, I call it cloud. It's, the proper name is obfuscate. But every time you click on this cloud button, so I'm just clicking on that little cloud icon. And every time I do that, it blurs another word up here. And so then you can say it to yourself. The heavens declare the glory of God. What's that word? If you're not sure what that word is, click on the word and the word will appear. And the word will also, I don't know if it's recording this, it's also saying the word when it records it. So if you want to change that, go into the settings mode, and then you can turn off that little loudspeaker button. And then, so I've turned that off just by clicking on it. And now when you click on the words, it no longer says them out loud. And then every time you click on the cloud, it blurs more and more words until everything is blurred and you have to say it all by yourself. But you do sort of have the length of the words that you can go by. And then finally, when you've blurred when you've blurred everything else, this will just be the 3 buttons, and clicking that will take you back to the 4 options. The next way you can practice is in puzzle mode. And puzzle mode, it will show you, the default is to show you 5 cards at the bottom. So you need to click on the one you think is next. The skies, nope, that's not it. The heavens. And then what do? The heavens work? Nope, the heavens declare. And as you click on the right card, puzzle piece, it'll add it to the top. The glory of God, etc., etc. So I'm going to click on this back button to get back to the 4 options. The next one is this, these lines. What this one does, it'll show you by default, it'll show you the first letter of each word as well as the line length of each word. And if you want to change that, use this underline button. And every time you click it, it'll go through the different options. So now it's just showing me the first letter of each word. The heavens declare the glories of God. And sometimes just the letter is enough to kind of remind you of what word is next. If you click this bottom one again, then it'll change it to just the line length. And then if you click it one more time, it'll change it to nothing, which isn't super helpful. So if we click it again, it will go back and cycle through. So every time we click that, we're changing how we see things. Now, as we go through, let's say we've gone to this one, we're just doing line lengths for the words. Now, if you want to test yourself, one word at a time, you can click this button here, the heavens declare, and every time I'm just clicking this button to move forward one word. If you want to move forward a bunch of words at a time, then you use this button here. That will do all the line at once. So the heavens declare the glory of God, the skies proclaim the work of his hands. So, and then these triple dots bring us back. So this one here, you can remember, you can change how they look. You can do one word at a time. You can do one line at a time. And then the fourth button at the bottom here is to go back, like to take away what you added. All right. And then the final option that you have is, it looks like a keyboard. And what you do in this version, it tells you, again, the line lengths, or, and if you click on, if you click on that first button, it will go through different things again. So once you have your keyboard though, now it wants you to click the first letter of each word. The heavens, D for declare, and then the glory. And if you need a hint, that's when you can click this first button here. This first button will give you the first letter, and then you can click it to see the word. All right. So I'll click on this back arrow again to get back. So those are the 4 ways. Once you've practiced a bunch, then you can click back on that back arrow to get back to the flashcard. And then you could test yourself one more time. In fact, at this point, you can use this microphone key, and if you hit the microphone, it starts recording you. The heavens, okay, I need to allow it to record. The heavens declare the glories of God. And then when you flip it over, it's not doing it right now, but when you do it, it should then play back your voice saying these words, and then you can test whether you actually said the right words because you're reading them. Now, if you are all ready and you say, yep, I've done a bunch of practicing, I am ready to commit to this verse, then you use this button down at the bottom, and you see it looks like a checkbox with an arrow. That essentially means move this verse from the new box into the do box so that it becomes a checklist that I have to do. Okay, so we click on that one, and then it shows us the next verse to learn. And we could do all the same things. We could go into the study verse. We could say the verse and then flip it over. This thing here means flip over the card because it's kind of showing you one and it's showing you the back side in whatever dotted. And then once you've flipped it over, again, then you have your move it to the do column. So that's one way to get it to the do column. And let's see what that looks like now by clicking on this back button. Now we're back into our boxes screen. And if we click on do, sure enough, if we can already see there's one in there. And if we click on there, there's my first verse. So now I've set it during the practice time, but to get it off of being do, I have to actually say it in this view. So now, whenever you're in the do view, I would forget about clicking on the verses themselves because you might have a bunch to do at once. Instead, make a habit to use this button down here. This is your flashcard button. And when you go into this, by clicking on it, it'll show you same thing it had before. And now if you press and hold, it'll also show you the first words of the verse. And so then again, you can use this microphone button. Psalm 19:1, the heavens declare the glory of God, the skies proclaim the work of his hands. And then I click on anywhere on the flashcard to flip it over, and then it should start playing it for me so that I can compare what I've done. Now, if you got it wrong or right, you need to indicate that either with these buttons down here, or you can also indicate you got it right by swiping this to the right, or you got it wrong by swiping it to the left. So whichever one you want to use, either the buttons or swiping it. So I got it right, so I'm going to swipe to the right, and you can see that little checkbox that appeared for a minute. And now you see how there's 1 in my known box. So if we click on that, now I can see my flashcard is in my known box, and it is due again tomorrow. And so then tomorrow it'll automatically show up in my due box, and then when I say it, it'll show up back in the known box, and then it'll say due in 2 days, and then in 4 days, and etc., etc. So that is how you can study and move things. That's one of the ways to move them into your committed, into your due box.